and create a S3 bucket now.
Hello. Hello.
Has everyone got into this page? If there are any problems, just raise the hand. Right, you just have to give the bucket name here, and then just simply go down, and you have this create bucket button. Huh? Oh, really?
Actually, in the website, in the online, the screen is not.
Yeah. Sia, who has a question?
No, the question was just the screen was not set. Thank you.
Sorry, what was that?
The screen was not set. That's why I raised the hand.
Sorry about it.
Thank you.
Good. We can just simply create the bucket now. And here, the newly created bucket would be shown for you. Now here I have just 3 different buckets, and this is the bucket that I created right now. Once you click on create bucket, you will be redirected to the S3 bucket screen, and here you can see your newly created bucket. Good. So then, first of all, to host the website, we need to anyone else facing errors on bucket creations? Good. Yeah. So to host the website, you must first have a website to host, right? So to be honest, I'm a very lazy guy. So I'll just go to ChatGPT and tell him to create an index file. You can also use ChatGPT and create an index.html file, and also if you have need an error.html file, but for now the index.html is okay.
run of sometime so you want to become like a software specific career. If you want to have your own website, running, let's say, what's your school? So it's right? Right? You have to have a very simple website about you without like spending $0. You can do that through this approach. So I'm posting my websites through the same approach. I don't get any details. And it doesn't need the account $200. So do that. That's an advantage. You can have your bio and the context and everything in a full website, which develop for yourself.
All right, how many of you all have created the index.html file? Still no. Cool. So make sure that you have uploaded HTML file. So I'm going to share it once more, guys, to the people who have just uploaded the files to S3. Once the objects have been uploaded, go inside the bucket and go to your properties tab. On the properties tab, scroll down all the way to the bottom, and then you have a section for static website hosting. Click on that, just edit it, and then enable it and give your index.html file name and the error.html file name. How many of you have done that step? Right, so once that is completed, just click on Save Changes. And if you navigate on the Properties tab to the same section that we went before, now we all have a link to your website. Okay? You all can simply click on it and check whether it works. Ideally, it should not work. Cool. So, as you can see, the error message is access denied. The reason for that is, by default, when you are creating S3 buckets, it does not give access to the public. All public access has been blocked. Got it? So now what we have to do is go to the permissions tab, and here they have block public access. Edit it and remove it. So by giving access to the public, it comes with its own pros and cons. You can host a static website, but yet again, it's available to the public. So once you do this part, let's check whether it would work. You can simply refresh it and see. Still, it's not working. Hands up if anyone's side is working. No, right? Good. That is because even though we have given access to the public, we haven't specified a policy saying, okay, these resources inside the bucket is accessible. We give access to the bucket, but not the resources inside the bucket. Bucket. So has everyone completed up to this point? Right. Now let's go and add a bucket policy to say, okay, we need access to these resources. Here, if you want, you can just simply go and check on other examples as well. You have AWS has given a set of policy examples. You can just go and simply refer to those. And also they have a policy generator now. So you can simply click on that and it redirects to one of their UIs where you can generate a policy. So normally a policy is written in JSON format. Okay. Copy. So here you have to select which policy type are we going to set. So since we are going to work on S3 bucket, it's a S3 bucket policy. Okay. And so now let's give to allow everything. And actions is, so each AWS service has their own actions. Now if you go to S3 here, you can see there's a set of actions where we can allow to create bucket metadata, delete bucket policy. Likewise, we have a set of actions here. So what we are going to give is to get bucket objects. Here we have the get object policy in AWS. It's a AWS managed policy. So you can just go and simply click on this and give the ARN to which items are we going to give access. So where can we find this ARN? Did anyone see it? No. Cool. If you go back to the bucket, you have this ARN here on the permissions tab. Copy on this. Go to the policy generator again. Paste the bucket ARN. And now we are going to give access to all the items. So you have a slash and a star, which says to give access to all the items inside the S3 bucket. Is everyone with me? Good. Yeah. Now you can do an add the statement and generate the bucket policy. Copy it from here and then simply you can come here and paste it. If the last step is done, you can again go to that link that they had in the properties. Yeah, now it should work as expected. Now raise your hands who can see the site, people who can see their site. If anyone needs help, guys, just raise your hands up. Huh? Can you hear me now? Cool. So yeah, I'm just going to again show how you can set the bucket permissions. Just go to this permissions tab inside the bucket, and you all have to first give access to the public, and then right below you have this bucket policy area. You can click on edit and go to the policy generator. And here, since we are dealing with S3, the IAM policy is S3 bucket policy. Cool. And just you can just give a star here because we're loving everything. And for the actions, as I told you previously, every AWS service has a set of actions specific for that service. So S3 also has their own actions to create bucket like I showed you previously. So for this part, what we are going to do is get files in the object, in the bucket, right? So that should be get object policy. Cool. You can simply click on that. And here now, we are giving access to the bucket, but yet again, we have to define to which resources inside the bucket are we giving access to. So for this, you need the ARN, the Amazon resource name. The place where you can get the Amazon resource name is, if you go back to the bucket, you have the bucket ARN here. Everyone found it? Yeah. You can copy the ARN from the bucket and paste it here. And since we are giving to all of the objects inside the bucket, you can simply have a slash and tell, okay, I need access to all the objects. Cool. Yeah, then you have to click on this add statement button here, and it gets added to the below section. And now you can click on the generate policy. You will get a JSON object with the policy. You can copy the policy and paste it in this text area. Done. Once you do that, just go back again to the website and refresh it and see whether it works. Anyone's website not working still? Make sure that you are saving the changes. Now, if you refresh it, the website should work. If it's still not working, it should be a permission. So raise your hands up if it's still not working. All right, so common mistakes was the bucket was not public. Make sure that you all make the bucket public before generating the bucket policies. And also, when you are generating the bucket policy, make sure that you all give access to all the resources inside the bucket, not just the bucket. Okay? Cool. It's good. Yeah, so by this time, you all should have your website hosted in AWS S3 using the static web hosting options. So I hope everyone is happy by now.
Was everyone able to deploy at least one from each table? Website is up and running.
Most of them, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Make sure like when you all upload into the S3 bucket, don't upload any folders. The index.html file should be in the root directory. So the index.html file, you should see the index.html file as soon as you go inside the bucket, like this. Cool. So the reason why I had an error page is that if I go and type in a URL with something else, since S3 cannot find this specific file, it gets redirected to the error.html file. So that's an optional step that I did. Cool. So now we have completed the first part. So by this time, you all know how to host a static website using S3 in AWS free tier. Yes? Yeah. So before moving on to the next part, I'm asking again if there are any problems that you all are facing in the initial phase. Everyone's all good? Good. Now the next part, either you all can follow up with me, or just if you all want to do it, you all can do it, or just I'll just show you an example. So what we are trying to do is, this is not free, yeah? Because we are using this AWS Route 53. This part is not free. You'll be getting billed for that, a very small amount. So what we are doing is, now if you go to the website, you all can see it goes like this. The, what do you call this, the S3 bucket name and website, and then you have the region .amazonaws.com. So it's not very nice to share something like this when you are being a bit professional, you know? So most of the guys will need to take a domain and host their site personally. That's what normally we do, right? So to do that in AWS, you would need these four services. We did host in S3, so I'll know S3 by now. And then we need CloudFront, which is a CDN, a content delivery network. So anyone know what a content delivery network is? Sure. Here you can see there are different regions. So these regions are real physical regions where they have their data centers. Good. So when I say North Virginia, these contents are stored in the North Virginian region there. So likewise, you can save it in Mumbai, Osaka, likewise. So what the CloudFront does is, it gets the content from S3 all of these edge locations. The reason is, when you do that, the round trip time gets increased or decreased. How many of you all know the round trip time? The time that it takes to get to make the request and get the response back. So now we are in Sri Lanka, and if I make request to the North Virginian server in US, would it take more time or less time compared to server in Mumbai? More time, right? So that's why they have this concept called edge locations. So what happens is, it creates copies of your objects in all of these locations, from which IP, like from which, and the request gets redirected to the most closest server. So that's why we need the cloud frontier. the Amazon Certificate Manager. That is to make sure that the domain we buy is a good one, to validate it, and then the Route 53 to redirect all incoming traffic. Cool. Yeah, if you go to this like free tier account again, the page, here if you search S3, it's available in the free tier. Let's search for cloud front end. See, it's also available. The Amazon Certificate Manager and Route 53. It's also available on both plans. The ACM is not available. Okay, cool. So what was the website that we do? This one. Good. So to start off, I'll just create a very new bucket. And before you create the bucket, how many of y'all have domain names for your name or anything? At least 3 domains? No. Cool. Then you can just go to a free domain buying site. I mean, you can choose anything. If you want a paid domain, you can just go to GoDaddy or anything and buy your domain or anything. For now, I'll just go and check on a free domain and see whether it's available. Yeah, so this domain is available for me, so I'm just going to claim this domain. So just one, it's $0. Huh? Y'all can get this. So if I go to my account, I go to dashboards and check on all the domains I have. Now I have this domain as well. So the next thing to do is you can simply go to S3 buckets again, and you have to create a new S3 bucket. But can you guys hear me? How about now? Can you hear me? Make sure that the bucket name is similar to the domain that you have. So it can't be a random bucket name that you are giving. The bucket name should be equal to this domain name. Understood, right? You can go on the same steps that we did for the previous site. So you can just create the bucket and then enable public access. And enable website hosting as well. And now I'm going to do a small change to the same index.html file that we had previously. Good. So it's the same steps that as I did previously, okay? I just created a new bucket with the domain name that I want, and then enable public access, and then generate the bucket policy so that I have access to all the resources inside the bucket, and then enable the hosting part. Good. So now we have done this part, this three part. And what we have to do next is go to Route 53 and then configure a hosted zone so that we can host the website. You can simply go and search for Route 53. And go to hosted zones in your left-hand side navigation bar and click on create a hosted zone. So here also I'm just giving the same name as the domain. It's a publicly available hosted zone. Depending on the domain that you buy, this verification either can go from 1 to 2 minutes or probably like 15-20 minutes as well. So it depends on the domain that you buy and the amount of time the AWS takes to verify that the domain is ours. Yes. And once this part is completed, you can see here, you will get 2 records. So what we need right now is the name server record, which denotes as SA, sorry, NS. Click on that and you will see 4 name server records that AWS has given us. So what we want to do is, now go to the site that we bought the domain and click on manage. It depends on the website. Now here it says manage, but it's whether it's manage. Yeah. Once I go to manage, I can see the name server records here. So depending on the site that you buy the domain, you'll have to find out where the name server records are in that specific domain site. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to modify these name server records that the site gave me, and I'm going to add the 4 new records that AWS gave me in my hosted zone. Okay. So why we are doing that is, now since we bought this domain from a public like a place, we want to redirect the traffic to our DNS which we have in AWS. So it's not their ones that we want to redirect the traffic. It's for our DNS, right? So that's why we have these name server records copied from AWS to the public side. Yeah, now these name servers from AWS has been added. So we did the S3 part and some sort of our 53 part as well. There are a few items remaining, but the major stuff is now done. Now let's go and configure a cloud front to our S3 bucket so that all the objects will be replicated in all the zones and it's easy for us to navigate through. So if you go to AWS and search for CloudFront, here you can create a distribution. So I have created one distribution. Likewise, you can create any number of distributions that you all want. So I'm going to create a new distribution. I'm just going to give the same name as this because it's easy for me to identify. And this is a single website or an app that we are going to host it. Cool. It's not a multi-tenant, it's a single web app. So I'm just going on next. And the origin is in, we have the bucket in S3. So here I'll just go and browse the S3. And this is the bucket that I have my content. So now it says this S3 bucket has static web hosting enabled. And if I want to have this to distribution, you should use the S3 website endpoint rather than the bucket endpoint. So you can either go and get the website endpoint from that properties tab, or else you can simply click on this button so that it gets the website URL for us. So I'll just keep the other settings as it is. And click on next. I don't need the ref for now. Right. Now we have created the distribution. This part might take some time because as you can see, the last modified is still it's deployed. If I refresh it again, it should be still deployed. So creating the distribution part will take some time. Okay. Let's see if it gets completed within 2-3 minutes. No, so but that's fine. We can just go ahead with the other stuff. Now what we have to do is, now if you just go and click on this distribution name, still cannot be accessed. That is because we haven't added the domain that we bought for this, right? So how can you add the domain? Just use that domain button. Okay. Just click on this. So the domain to service, sorry. This one. remove any spaces that is there in front of towards the back of the string, and make sure you only have this specific domain name pasted. Okay. Good. And you can click on next. And now they have given us the option to create, generate a certificate in this flow. So it's very easy to generate a certificate. If not, you can just click on this and go to ACM and create a certificate separately. But for now, I'll just create it right here. So I just don't need any wildcards. I just need the certificate for the specific domain name only. So I'll create the certificate.